Ecological succession is defined as a change in the species composition in a biological community over time. So let's have a look at this definition. It's a change in species composition. So that means that some species are replaced by other species. So over time, there's a change in the type of species that are in this ecological community. But I think that's only the first part of the definition, because we need to explain why succession occurs. And that's because of a change in abiotic conditions that are established by the species that came before. So this second part of the definition is very important to understand succession, because what happens is that organisms and species actually modify the abiotic conditions to improve the abiotic conditions for the next type of species to succeed them, and that's exactly what succession is. The best way for us to consider that is with what we call primary succession. Remember, that of course means primary. Primary succession is where we start with bare rock. We've never had life on the rock before. So we start with some bare rock, and the first colonizing organisms are our lichens and our moss. So that's lichen and moss. Now what happens with lichen is that it actually excretes acid that just very, very slowly breaks down the rock into the mineral components, into the mineral sands. And when the lichen dies, well, the organic matter that the lichen is made of then is included in that sand, so we have our first soil. So now we might have a rock here that's actually got a little bit of a dip in it, and in that dip we've actually got some soil. So what you can see is that the lichen and the moss has improved the abiotic conditions. So much so that now we can have our next round of organisms, our grasses, and our weeds and things, that they can then come in and colonize that area because the abiotic factors have been improved. Now, when the grass dies, it also contributes its organic matter into this soil and making it richer and richer and deeper soil, so that we can then get small shrubs. So this is grass, and then it's colonized by small shrubs that then again what they're doing is they're starting to hold together the soil and again continue to improve the quality of the nutrients in the soil, retain water. Probably at this stage we start to get the introduction of insects and worms and things to continue to improve that soil so that we can now support larger trees. And this continues until we get what's called a climax community, where we have a mature ecosystem where we've got one dominant species. Plant succession is more of a linear process, but of course we've got animal succession that goes along with that. As I mentioned, once we start to get our grasses and things, we're going to get insects that are attracted, and then of course birds, and of course they have an important role in distributing seeds and things as well as the wind. And once we start to get some shrubs, we're going to get herbivorous animals that come along to feed on those, and then of course once we've got herbivores, well, that's going to actually attract the carnivores as well. With secondary succession, the difference with that is that secondary succession occurs when there has previously been life, there's previously been an ecosystem on that area, but it gets wiped out from, say, bushfire or maybe disease or a landslide or an earthquake or something, or a flood. And so what we've actually got is that we actually start with soil. Remember with primary succession, we started with rock. Secondary succession starts with soil, and it's previously had life. So secondary succession is much, much quicker because we don't have to rely on the lichen to actually create the soil in the first place. We've already got soil, it's probably already got nutrients in it, so we kind of start with these grasses, they're colonising organisms then, and much quicker progression. Sometimes you see secondary succession in smaller, say, parts of an ecosystem. Maybe a large tree has been hit by lightning and it falls over, and imagine if that was a rainforest. Well, you've now got a hole in the canopy, and then there's that needs to be replaced. So that's a secondary succession. Or we might have a small landslip, and because there's surrounding vegetation, well, that's going to move into that area a lot quicker. So that's succession for you.